2 segundos, 1 segundo, let's go. Ahí. En las manos. Es grande, ¿eh? No, está bien. Es un poco tocho, pero no, está bien.
This right here is the PlayStation 5 DualSense. Yes, powered up because we are going to go hands-on with the PlayStation 5. Hey guys, it's Jeff Keighley, and this is a special Summer Game Fest stream. Really a special year for all of us that new consoles are coming out, and a lot of people have wondered what PlayStation 5 is going to play like.
O sea, ¿qué va a hacer el mando, no? ¿Qué va a hacer el mando? Porque al final me mola más este mando que el otro, ¿vale? O sea, me gusta mucho más. Lo veo un poco más tocho, ¿no? Pero bueno. Es que el mando de la Switch a lo mejor es parecido, ¿no? Se ve más grande porque quizás es un poco más ancho, ¿no? Del cuerpo. Pero a lo mejor es lo mismo que uno de Xbox de tamaño, no lo sé. Se verá eso, se verá. Ya he probado,
The big things that I've noticed are the adaptive triggers, the L2 and R2. So outside of the game environment, you just kind of pull these down like any controller. But when you're in a game, there's actually the possibility to create tension points or haptics inside of these adaptive triggers. So imagine pulling this down and feeling the pressure from a bow and a bow and arrow.
Vale, es, ¿no? Que con el arco, por ejemplo, al tensarlo, notas la tensión, ¿no? Con el mando es como si tuviera un... No sé, una fuerza ahí, ¿no? Para el gatillo. Gracias, Santiago. ¿Sí o no? Y también un poquito según qué juego juegues, ¿no? También, yo que sé, un juego de conducción, pues requerirá un recorrido en el gatillo para acelerar más o menos. Pero a lo mejor un juego, un shooter, no hace falta. O sea, clicas y disparas, ¿no? No lo sé.
The haptics add another layer to the experience. It's not just sort of one rumble point. So it's not just kind of on or off. There's the ability to create other sensations. As you'll see in this demo I'm going to show you of Astrobot's Playroom, you'll see what ice feels like, what sand feels like in different surfaces.
Para explicar qué se siente al usarlo es difícil, es mejor ponerle tú las manos encima, ¿no?
It has much more range than the PlayStation 4 speaker, and it often directly ties into what's happening with the haptics. At least in Astro's Playroom, there's much more variety in the types of sounds coming out of the speaker. And I'm sure every game will use it differently or may not use it as much. But at least in this demo, you really do sense that there's a lot going on with the haptics and there's sound that ties into it. And then when you combine that with the Tempest 3D engine in PlayStation 5 for the speakers, the sort of harmony between the controller sound and what's happening in the PlayStation 5 is really, really unique.
O sea, el sonido irá en relación también al juego un poquito, ¿no? Porque será más envolvente aún. Pero bueno, siempre esos altavoces de los mandos son un poco malos, ¿no? No sé si será muy bueno este. No sé, a lo mejor sí. Y lo que muchos no aplican es esa entrada de audio que tiene el mando. Eso es genial, ¿no? La Xbox también tiene esta entrada de audio, ese jack. No lo sé, creo que no.
And there's more sort of inside of it, so centered, but definitely feels good to me. So let's talk about what we're going to play today. What we're going to check out is
no dirá que es incómodo, ¿no?
And that is the game that comes packed with the PlayStation 5. It is pre-installed on the system. You don't even have to download it.
Ese juego se vendrá de gratis, con el Playroom, que eso requiere cámaras, ¿no?
Demo of 15 minutes. It's a multi-hour game. We're going to get to play one section of it today. And I think the reason we're playing this is because it comes with the system and it really showcases the controller. So, of course, everyone wants to see what Horizon Forbidden West looks like on the system. And this is a demo that is focused, I think, more on the controller and the haptics and the adaptive triggers versus trying to showcase the power of the SSD.
O sea, esa demo está hecha para que veas un poquito cómo funciona el mando y cómo es la experiencia de juego con él, ¿no? Para que veas todo el mando, ¿no? Es como el 1-2 Switch, ¿sabes? Que es un juego que puede haber sido gratis para probar un poquito los movimientos en el Joy-Con y esas cosas, pero con el mando de la PS5, creo.
The controller and how that relates to gameplay with Astro's Playroom. So let's call it up here and go hands-on live with PS5. So you can even hear the sound of my bot walking around.
¿Qué hace? Ah, vale, que entra el bicho este. Míralo.
So full 6 degrees
Lo
of
mueve
motion
él.
as always. Looks like I'm going to have to flick up here on the pad to release my bot. And we are
Vale, aquí no hay
in
cámara, es
CPU
con el mando y ya
Plaza.
está.
The
Diría
thing
que con
about this
cámara, pero
game,
no.
as you will see in this demo, there are a lot of references to the history of PlayStation. So Cooling Springs is the area that is open on Jeff's demo of this game. And we are going to jump in here and just go through this experience with the bot. All right, so we're on the beach here. There are beach balls you can play around with. There are some bots enjoying
Mario de
life, sunning
PS5, ¿no?
themselves. Bot on vacation here. Should I disrupt them? How rude of me, right? And then we're going to head on over here.
El Mario fake de PS5.
Sandstorm created by, I guess, these CPU fans. And again, when you get into
Y aquí
this
siente, ¿no?
environment,
Aquí siente algo en el
I'm
mando,
static
supongo.
here, but you hear the crisp sounds of
¿Sí o no?
sand coming at you. There's a tension in the controller.
Nota en el mando,
from going
aparte
over
del
the
ruido de
sand
la arena,
environment,
como
and then you push
cruje,
forward
¿no?
in.
Ese golpe en el mando, ¿no? Te vibra, supongo. No lo sé.
And look, the rubber ducks are back. Remember the duck demos? PlayStation 3, I think that was. Rubber ducks. All right, so I have this
Vale,
suit,
cremallera.
and I'm going to push up on the controller.
Oh.
Zip him up. This is the frog suit. And this frog suit shows off the adaptive controllers. So I'm going to move my controller left and right. And these adaptive triggers are really, really cool. And I've never felt something like this before in a console controller. As you push down on the controller, there's tension now in these adaptive trigger.
Al final estas cosas se usan poco, al final,
One
¿sabes?
thing that I think
Es
is
como
really
los
fun about
Joy-Cons.
this demo
Se usan
is
poquísimo.
it
Se usan
makes
como
you
juego
think
un
of
juego
how
exclusivo de Nintendo
these
y alguno más,
technologies are
pero
going to be used in
al final los que hacen juegos dicen, ¿sabes
action
qué?
flank. I mean, obviously, a lot
Tiramos
of
por lo
these games
normal,
play
esos ports no van a hacer nada
similar in
más.
style to a Ratchet
Con el mando
game,
normal
so
ya está, ¿no?
think of all those
Los Joy-Cons al final se usan
graphics
poco,
that
¿no?
we
La función está de los
saw,
Joy-Cons separados, ¿no? De, qué sé.
on the stream.
Lo de infrarrojo, la cámara de infrarrojo,
This type of
esas
control
cosas ya,
is
pues...
kind of fun. So now we've made
Está bien, pero
frozen pool.
al final hay pocos juegos que lo aplican, ¿no? Aplican lo común.
We're gonna pull down on this, and again, you see
Ahí
this
siente.
ice, but you hear a storm literally inside of
Bueno,
the DualSense.
eso.
And sort of a small little rumble
Supongo
from
que...
haptics.
Sí, ahí está. Oye el ruido
Ice
de
shards
la
here,
ventisca
as
esta
you go past every ice shard,
de
you
aire y
hear
aparte pues siente en el mando,
the
¿no?
ice
Como
shard.
esa pequeña vibración y da la sensación de que esté ahí, ¿no? En sus manos. Pero bueno, al final eso es un juego
It's not ASMR. This
de
is
sonidos y vibraciones.
ASMR.
Tampoco es algo... Pero yo no lo sé, eso hay que tocarlo,
You
¿eh?
guys hear that? His little footsteps?
Eso cuando toque ya
All this is coming out of the
le pondré las manos encima.
got a
Okay.
checkpoint here. Now this one, you actually have to blow into the controller.
¿Qué hace ahora? Ya tiene ahí la cámara, ¿eh? Ah, sopla él. Vale, esto es como la Wii U, ¿eh?
Again, this one, you pull back, just like a bow and arrow almost. And look,
La Play 3.
I unlocked a
Ahí está.
PlayStation 3. I have a PlayStation 5. Well, I had a lot of fun playing with the DualSense controller and Astrobot. And I wanted to get a little more information on all things PlayStation. So joining me now is the worldwide head of marketing at PlayStation, Eric Lempel. Eric, how we doing?
Hi, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I got to go hands on with PS5, which was a nice surprise this week. I was not expecting it, but you guys are full of surprises for PS5. It looks like.
Yeah, and you're one of the first to actually touch the DualSense outside of the company and the developers.
El primero que
Yeah,
toca el mando,
I'd
¿eh?
like to know what you
Fuera de la
think.
compañía.
This is
El primero
this
que
is
lo
a big
toca, ¿eh?
thing for us.
Yeah, no. Again, I'm used to going to a big event and playing with everyone, but the fact that I got it here and got to play it was really special. And I have to say, after watching the event and seeing the games, I was excited. But the gameplay feels like a whole other dimension to the experience with what's
Y también
happening
tiene la Play
with the
5, supongo,
adaptive
¿no?
triggers
Aparte del
and
mando.
haptics and everything. So it was one of those things that I was playing Astrobot, but imagining all the other games, how that's going to impact the experience. And one thing I'd heard is that demo or version of it, you guys actually shared with developers initially.
That's true. So what you played is a part of a title called Astro's Playroom. It was in our show a few weeks ago, and it's installed on every PlayStation 5. So everyone who buys a PlayStation 5 will get this game, and it really shows off a lot of the features of the platform, but really does a great job of showing all the benefits of the DualSense controller. So what we did is early on, we had another version of the title that we took around to the developers that were engaged in PlayStation 5 development and showed them what was possible with a title. And
eso es una
it's been
demo,
a
una
great
demostración del
example.
mando,
It's
¿no?
really opened up people's minds to how they can use this new device and really the new features of the controller. But I would say when people get their PlayStation 5, that should probably be one of the first things they do, is just jump in there and experience this, because as you've seen, it's pretty special.
No, we've been using
Lo primero que hagas con la PS5 es jugar a este juego, que es gratis. Es un poquito la experiencia de juego con el mando este, ¿no?
Rumble and things like that, and the touchpad. But this feels like, it's a bit of a redesign, but I really like how it feels in my hands. And I imagine for PlayStation, when you were conceiving a PS5 and Mark Cerny was architecting it, I imagine the controller and a lot of those innovations were kind of right there at the beginning as something that you wanted to put into the system.
It's true. As we've said many times with PlayStation 5, it's a brand new generation, and we believe in generations. So we want to evolve every part of the experience. And the controller is really the most intimate part of the experience. It's the extension of the player. So, we thought a lot about this. And one of the things we could have done is just iterate on the DualShock. We've done that for many years. The gamers absolutely love the DualShock. They tell us it's the best controller we've ever made, the latest edition. But we thought, no, let's go a step further. Let's see how a new generation can express a whole new feeling. And that's where the DualSense came about. So early on, it was part of the plan to evolve the experience. And, there are many parts of that experience, but this is a really unique part that truly takes a step forward in gaming.
You mentioned you believe in generations. I guess it's a bit of a controversial opinion to some people about this idea that, generations are going to sort of break with the past, right? And I wanted you to maybe talk a bit about that, because it does seem like that's like a cardinal sort of virtue of the PlayStation promise, is that there is this sort of, break from the past, a new generation with a new console, games optimized for that system, versus kind of working across, multiple devices and multiple generations. Can you maybe give us a little bit more perspective on the controller being a part of that, but that view, which is obviously counter, we've seen Xbox saying something different around that. Why is that so important to PlayStation as a principle of the sort of the architecture of PlayStation 5?
Well, specifically for us, a big pillar of our company is innovation. It's a pillar of Sony Corporation. It's also a pillar of the PlayStation company. And, we are always trying to push the boundaries. We push the boundaries of play. That's what we say internally. We want to excite gamers. We want to deliver new experiences. So as we go into a new piece of hardware, it really has to check the box on a lot of different areas to fulfill those promises. And we a lot of developers about this. We've gone out there, we've talked to people about what they want in a next generation console. And really to do that, you've got to deliver a lot. And I think what's really unique about the DualSense is that it plays into another one of your senses. But we're covering a lot of the senses with PlayStation 5. I mean, first and foremost, I'd say in gaming, for the history of gaming, the first sense is seeing. It's all the visuals, it's the graphics. And naturally, with every generation, the graphics improve. And with PlayStation 5, we're taking a leap forward there. And then there's sound, and we're introducing a new form of 3D audio, which will be really powerful no matter what you're playing, no matter how you're playing.
Ah, es que es mejor que la
The
PS4.
next piece is touch. And, touch has been around for a while. We've had force feedback.
No van en cosas, pero tampoco se pasan mucho innovando cosas. Está bien que hagan pasos grandes en cosas nuevas, ¿no? Aparte de los gráficos y eso, y el sonido, pero tampoco es un salto, un cambio radical, ¿no? Como hacía a veces Nintendo.
It's haptic feedback. It's these adaptive dynamic triggers. I mean, something no one's ever experienced before.
Pero cosas buenas como, por ejemplo, los gatillos, eso que han puesto, que no sé cómo será, porque al final es mejor tocarlo. Pero también a lo mejor es importante ahí, ¿no? Que no tendrá la de Xbox, supongo. No lo sé, ¿eh? No, es diferente, es otra tecnología. Pero está bien. Que al final mejora lo que hay, ¿no? Ya.
PS5 features we spoke about really lead to a next generation experience. And in many cases, we can't take everybody with us from previous consoles into that experience. You need new hardware, you need new devices to experience what these developers want you to experience.
And I imagine, PS4, there'll still be games coming out for it. I mean, it's not like the pipeline stops there, but there's this sort of new set of experiences that will be exclusive to PS5, right?
Exactly. PlayStation 4 is a big part of everything we do, and it will continue to be a big part of everything we do. There's a lot more to come on PlayStation 4. I think most recently we're seeing, some of the greatest titles this generation have released in recent weeks, but that will continue. And again, PlayStation 5 is the next generation product, but again, we've got a lot to come for people on PlayStation 4. Still a ton of life in that product.
When I was playing Astros, one of the things that my mind started racing with was thinking of how this is going to apply to a game like Ratchet, because sort of similar gameplay style, but with the audio, the
Al final
speaker, and
esto
the dual
lo aplican
sense,
las third
and
party, los juegos
haptics and
exclusivos sí,
adaptive triggers.
pero juegos third party,
One feature we haven't
que al
talked
final
much
lo
about
que más juega la gente, ¿no?
is SSD and that sort of input output.
Algo que no está en su juego, que no estará en otras consolas, ¿no? Que esté aquí también.
When I saw the
Va a ser más complicado, pero va a estar, supongo. Hacer cosas sencillas, ¿no? Con los gatillos.
So quickly. And could you maybe talk a bit about like that feature, which I didn't really, Astro's not a game I think that really is dry, needs the SSD to function the way it is. Can you talk a bit about the SSD and how that's going to impact the experience?
Sure, sure. And this ties back nicely to your question about generations, because when you look at a game like Ratchet, and we've talked about a lot of different features today, and as you mentioned, we haven't mentioned SSD. That is another thing that will make the whole gaming experience different. It'll make it better, but it also allows the developers to do new things. It isn't just about faster loading time. And you take a great developer like Insomniac, and they found a way to say, okay, look, here's a game that could only be made on PlayStation 5, on this generation, using this technology. A lot of what you saw in the show, jumping through those different worlds instantly, just can't be done in most cases. And it needs new hardware, it needs new power. So that's something we're looking forward to. I mean, all of these things come together. You combine that with 3D audio, with the controller, ray tracing. I mean, these are great experiences, and these developers know how to harness every piece of those features to really bring you a unique experience. And that really speaks to what next gen is for us.
So that Ratchet game, like, couldn't be done on PS4. I guess if you did it, you'd have to fundamentally change the kind of the architecture and the gameplay of it.
You would have to change it. You would have to change the way the game works. It would be a different experience. According to everything that Insomniac have told us, this hardware allows them to deliver on this vision. They could not make it. If they did, it would just be different. You would be playing a different type of game, and the experience would be different.
Yeah, no, I have to say, after playing with the controller, DualSense, and the experience, I definitely got a sense of where you're taking things moving forward. And let's talk a bit about that, because you guys had the big event, so many great titles. I think gamers are very excited about PS5. I think we saw even this week there were rumors that pre-orders were happening and the Twitter lit up. I don't know where these rumors start, but I have to ask you, like, are you about to press the button now for pre-orders? Like, when can we expect to get our PS5?
No, definitely not now. We don't know what happened there. We had nothing to do with it. I got a message from someone saying people are lining up at stores, and we had no idea why. So I think it's safe to say, for all of your viewers, we'll let you know when pre-order will happen. We will let you know. It's not going to happen with a minute's notice. We're going to, at some point, let you know when you can pre-order PlayStation 5. So please don't feel like you have to go run out and line up anywhere until you receive official notice on how that'll work. So I don't know how that happened. Don't know who did it. Wasn't us though. So
well, but look, I mean, as a marketer, I'm sure it's great to see there's that much anticipation for your product.
Oh yeah, no, look, we absolutely love the all of the PlayStation fans, and we're thrilled that they're excited about this product. And again, with this product, we're trying to bring them experiences they didn't think were possible.
Santiago, luego te lo explico.
You're experiencing some of that. Yes. One of the first people to experience that. I'm glad you had the experience that you did, because that's what we're hoping to get out of this. And unfortunately, given the current situation in the world, we would love to be out there having gamers start to touch the product. We would have done that in normal years. We can't do that. So it's really hard. I know a lot of people watching this, and they're going to really wonder, like, what are they talking about?
They're going to be angry at me saying, why did he get one?
Why did Jeff get to do it? But I think it's really hard to describe. I mean, you've heard us talk about this, but now you've gone through the experience, and you can see it's different.
One thing I wanted to ask you about, you and I have known each other for a long time, and I'm excited that you're in this worldwide role for PlayStation now to kind of unify, the messaging around the world. And there was a new tagline for PlayStation that showed up in the event in June, which I think was the first time people had seen it. And can you maybe tell us a bit about this new kind of tagline, which is global for PlayStation?
Certainly, and thanks for noticing that. That was actually the last bit of the show. That was the last thing you saw on the show, was this new line, which is "Play has no limits." And you know, as you said, we've known each other a long time, and you've known how the PlayStation organization was structured. And in the past, we were really separate groups around the world that all worked together and laddered up to a parent company. And in recent years, we've started to globalize, and we've seen great benefits from that in many parts of the organization. And so another part of this was the marketing piece. And really, if you look at great brands around the world, they all feel similar, or at least to great degree similar. And a part of that is the global brand line. And these lines, if they're good, they stand the test of time and they stick with the brand for a long time. So this was a hard job for the team. You know, we went back and we looked at this and we thought, what type of line would really satisfy the world and at the same time live up to our ambition as a company, as a brand? And that was "Play has no limits." You know, that's what we believe. And there's many different ways to interpret it. So I'm going to leave it to all the viewers to interpret it the way they like. But, you know, for us, it is really about speaking to innovation and speaking about new experiences that you can have with PlayStation that you never expected. And really, it's how we push ourselves. You know, we don't constrain ourselves. We want to push the limits of gaming all the time. And, you know, right up to the end of everything we do, we're constantly pushing to deliver something new, something best in class. And I'm excited about this because I would say, Jeff, you know, you've been around the industry for a very long time. I would challenge you to name all of the PlayStation taglines this past generation around the world. You couldn't, because there were a ton of them.
I was going to say, I know greatness awaits, but beyond that, yeah, it's like, yeah, I don't even.
So there were a lot of them, and it, you know, that's why we really wanted to get this together. And of course, the line will be localized.
Was it for the players, I think, or something in the UK, maybe?
For the players, exactly. Yeah. Was the line that was used across most parts of Europe, but there were a lot more than that. So we looked at this and we said, no, let's get one line that solidifies the brand. Also, look and feel of the brand is changing slightly. You saw some of that during the event a few weeks ago, and that will also be global. So we'll be a very strong global brand.
Well, again, there's a lot of love for PlayStation and what you guys have teased us with PS5 this year. I think it's been such an interesting rollout of, you never know when something's going to pop up on Twitter, or the box art itself was sort of like trending when you put out the Miles box. So who knows what's next? I can't let you go without everyone online wants to know about, like, are we going to get other colors of controllers or consoles? I imagine for launch, it's like hard enough to get one out, but is that on the roadmap?
Colores.
We'll talk about it at some point.
No voy a decir nada.
You know, it's, as you mentioned, it's a hard enough job to get the the unit that we've showed out. So, yes. But we'll talk about it at some point.
All right. Well, we know there'll be two of them, the all digital one as well, coming out, and we are excited to see what's in store for PlayStation. I'm sure there are more surprises, but yeah, it's an exciting year for the industry that these new consoles are coming out. I never thought there'd be a console launch in the middle of this. With I would never think my first hands-on would be in my own place with a PS5 controller, but I'll take it. And they quickly took it away, so I don't even have it anymore. So we will check it out again, hopefully this holiday season. Eric Lempel, great to have you with us, and thanks for giving us a little bit of hope and excitement this year about PS5. I think it's all something we need, and we look forward to playing it later this year.
Thanks, Jeff. It was great speaking with you, as always.
Pues ahí está. ¿No? ¿Qué os parece?